The guitar tech's hands froze over the headstock. His eyes went wide, then he looked up at me like I just walked in carrying the Hope Diamond. Where did you get this? I should probably back up. My grandmother died 3 months ago, Grandma Ruth. She was 87, lived alone in the same house in Austin, Texas that she'd bought in 1965. The whole family flew in for the funeral. My mom, my Uncle Derek, my cousins, everyone. After the service, we all gathered at her house to start sorting through her things. You know how it goes. 50 years of accumulated life. And somebody has to deal with it. I'd always been close to Grandma Ruth. She was a musician, or used to be. In the 50s and 60s, she played guitar in clubs around Austin. Not professionally, not like touring or anything, but she was good. Really good. She'd tell me stories about playing at the old venues that didn't exist anymore, about musicians who came through town, about the scene back when Austin was just starting to become Austin. My mom never cared about any of that. Neither did Uncle Derek. They thought it was just old lady nostalgia, embellished memories of a youth that was long gone. But I loved it. I'm a musician too. Nothing serious, I play in a cover band on weekends, do some session work when I can get it. Grandma Ruth was the one who first put a guitar in my hands when I was 7 years old. She taught me my first chords. After that, I'd visit her every few months, and we'd sit in her living room and play together. She had this old acoustic guitar she'd owned forever. She never told me much about it, just that she'd had it since the early days. The day after the funeral, we were all at her house dividing things up. It was tense. Uncle Derek had always been the golden child, the successful one. He's a real estate developer in Dallas, drives a Range Rover, lives in a McMansion. He showed up with his wife, Stephanie, and they immediately started pointing at furniture, talking about what would fit in their house. My mom was quieter about it, but I could tell she was hurt. There's old family resentment there that goes back decades. I wasn't interested in the furniture or the jewelry or any of that. I just wanted one thing. I found it in her bedroom, in the corner, where it had always been, the guitar. It was in a beat-up old hardshell case, covered in stickers from places she'd played, threadbare handle, rusty latches. I picked it up. Uncle Derek saw me. Oh God, not that old thing. I turned around. I'm taking this. He laughed. Actually laughed. That piece of junk? Logan, that guitar's probably 50 years old. The case is falling apart. Look at it. It was Grandma's. She played it all the time. Yeah, in like 1960, Stephanie chimed in. She was holding up a vase, examining it like she was on Antiques Roadshow. Guitars wear out. That thing probably doesn't even play anymore. I opened the case. The guitar looked rough. The finish was worn, scratched up, checking in places. It clearly hadn't been played much in recent years. But it was still beautiful to me. It had a sunburst finish, a rosewood fretboard, and a headstock with an ornate logo I didn't quite recognize. I'm taking it, I repeated. Uncle Derek walked over and looked at it. Seriously, this is what you want? There's probably $2,000 worth of jewelry in the bedroom. There's furniture. There's actually valuable stuff. And you want a beat-up guitar? Yes. He shook his head. Whatever. Take it. I'm sure it'll sound great with 3 broken strings and a warped neck. He turned to my mom. Sarah, did you see the china cabinet? I closed the case and carried it out to my car. 2 months went by. The guitar sat in my apartment. I opened it once, tried to tune it, played a few chords. It sounded okay, needed a setup, needed new strings. But something felt special about it. The way it resonated, the craftsmanship of it. It didn't look like the cheap guitars I was used to. The inlays on the fretboard were abalone. The binding was intricate. Even beat up, it had this quality to it. I started researching. I took pictures of the headstock, the logo, tried to search online. The logo read D'Angelico in an ornate script. I'd never heard of it. I found a few things online. Apparently, D'Angelico was a guitar maker in New York City from the 30s to the 60s. They made jazz guitars, archtops, really high-end stuff. But this didn't look like those. This looked like a flat-top acoustic. I dug deeper. Turns out John D'Angelico died in 1964, and his apprentice James D'Acquisto took over the shop. D'Acquisto made guitars under his own name after that, but apparently, in the early years, there were some transitional instruments. I found a forum post from a collector saying that certain D'Angelico acoustics from the late 50s and early 60s were rare. Very rare. I looked at the guitar again. Inside the sound hole, there was a label. I'd seen it before but hadn't paid attention. It was faded, handwritten. I shined a light inside and squinted to read it. D'Angelico, New York. 1962. My heart started beating faster. I pulled out my phone and searched D'Angelico 1962 acoustic guitar value. The results were scattered, but one forum post caught my eye. Someone asking about a similar guitar and a reply saying, if it's authentic, you're talking 6 figures. 6 figures. No way. I needed to know for sure. I couldn't just go off internet forums. I called around to music stores in the area, asking if anyone specialized in vintage guitar appraisals. Most places said they could take a look, but weren't experts. Finally, someone recommended a guy named Martin who ran a vintage guitar shop in South Austin. If it's legit, Martin will know, the guy told me. I made an appointment. 3 days later, I drove to Martin's shop. It was a small place, tucked between a coffee roaster and a thrift store. The windows were full of old guitars, Fenders, Gibsons, Martins, instruments that looked like they'd been through decades of gigs and recording sessions. A little bell chimed when I opened the door. Martin was in his 60s, gray ponytail, wearing a Stevie Ray Vaughan t-shirt. He looked up from behind the counter. You must be Logan. Yeah, thanks for seeing me. No problem. Let's see what you've got. I set the case down on the counter and opened it. Martin looked at the guitar, and his expression changed immediately. He didn't say anything for a moment. Just stared. Can I? He asked, gesturing. Of course. He lifted the guitar out gently, like it was made of glass. He turned it over, examined the finish, looked at the neck joint, checked the tuning pegs. Then he looked inside the sound hole with a flashlight, reading the label. That's when his hands froze. That's when he looked up at me with those wide eyes. Where did you get this? It was my grandmother's. She played guitar in Austin in the 50s and 60s. I inherited it when she passed away. Martin set the guitar down carefully on a padded mat. Do you know what this is? I think it's a D'Angelico. From 1962, but I'm not sure. That's why I'm here. Martin ran his hand through his hair. Okay. Let me make a call. I need a second opinion on this. He pulled out his phone and stepped into a back room. I could hear him talking, low and urgent, but couldn't make out the words. My pulse was racing. This was either about to be really good news or really bad news. He came back 5 minutes later. I have a colleague coming over. He specializes in vintage acoustics. He's going to want to see this. Is that okay with you? Yeah, of course. Can I ask, did your grandmother ever tell you where she got this guitar? I thought back. Not really. She just said she'd had it since the early days. She played clubs in Austin. She might have bought it here, or maybe she brought it with her from New York. She grew up in New York originally. Martin nodded slowly. New York. That tracks. 20 minutes later, another guy arrived. Younger, maybe 40, wearing wire-rimmed glasses. Martin introduced him as Jason. Jason took one look at the guitar and whistled. No way, Jason said. That's what I said, Martin replied. They examined it together. Checked the serial number inside. Looked at the construction. Jason pulled out a jeweler's loupe and inspected details I couldn't even see. They spoke in low tones, using terms I didn't understand. Bracing pattern. Original bridge. Torch inlay. Finally, Jason looked at me. Do you have any provenance on this? Any documentation? Receipts? Photos? Anything? No. Just the guitar. My grandmother never mentioned anything about papers. Jason nodded. That's not uncommon for instruments from that era. People didn't think about documentation. They just played them. Martin looked at me seriously. Logan, I need to tell you something. This guitar is real. It's a 1962 D'Angelico New Yorker acoustic. John D'Angelico only made a handful of flat-top acoustics in his entire career. He was known for archtops, jazz guitars. The flat tops were special orders, custom jobs for specific clients. He made maybe 20 of them, total. Most are in museums or private collections. I've only seen 2 others in person in 30 years of doing this. My mouth went dry. What does that mean? Jason spoke up. It means this guitar is worth somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. Possibly more at auction, depending on the buyer. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the counter. I'm sorry. What? 3 to 500,000? Martin repeated. And that's conservative. The last one that sold publicly went for 420,000 at Christie's in 2019. That was in worse condition than this. I couldn't speak. I just stared at the guitar. There's something else, Jason added. He turned the guitar over and pointed to the back. See this wood grain? This is Brazilian rosewood. It's been illegal to import or sell since the 70s. Guitars made before the ban are grandfathered in, but it adds significant value. This isn't just a rare D'Angelico. It's a rare D'Angelico, made with materials you literally cannot get anymore. Martin carefully placed the guitar back in its case. Logan, you need to insure this immediately. And you need to decide what you want to do. Keep it, sell it, donate it to a museum. But you cannot just leave this sitting in your apartment. I finally found my voice. My uncle said it was a piece of junk. Martin raised an eyebrow. Your uncle's an idiot. I drove home in a daze. $300,000. Minimum. For a guitar my uncle had laughed at. A guitar he'd called a beat-up piece of junk, not worth taking. When I got home, I sat on my couch and just stared at the case. I thought about Grandma Ruth. About how she'd played this guitar in clubs around Austin in the 60s. About how she'd held onto it for 60 years. About how she'd given me my first guitar lesson on this exact instrument when I was 7 years old. She'd known. She must have known what it was. She was a musician. She would have known the brand, known the quality. But she never said anything. She just played it, and then she left it to me. I called my mom. Hey, sweetie, she answered. What's up? Mom, do you remember Grandma's guitar? The one I took from her house? The old beat-up one? Yeah. Derek thought it was funny you wanted that instead of something actually valuable. I took a breath. Mom, I had it appraised. It's worth about $400,000. Silence. What? It's a vintage D'Angelico from 1962. It's one of maybe 20 in existence. I took it to 2 experts. They both confirmed it. It's worth somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. More silence. Then, oh my God. Yeah. Does Derek know? Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. I could hear her processing it. Logan. I don't even know what to say. That's life-changing money. I know. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. I need to think about it. We talked for a few more minutes, then hung up. I knew I needed to tell Uncle Derek eventually. Part of me didn't want to. Part of me wanted to just let him keep thinking it was worthless. But that felt petty. 2 days later, there was a family group text. Uncle Derek. Hey everyone, Stephanie and I are having people over this Saturday for a barbecue. Would love to see you all. We can catch up on estate stuff. I replied. I'll be there. Saturday came. I drove to Dallas with the guitar in my trunk. I'd had it professionally cleaned and restrung. It looked incredible. Still worn, still vintage, but it gleamed. I'd also brought the appraisal documents Martin and Jason had written up, notarized and official. When I arrived, Uncle Derek greeted me at the door with a beer in his hand. Logan, good to see you, man. Come in, come in. The house was full of people. Cousins, family friends, neighbors. There was a whole spread of food. Uncle Derek loved showing off. After about an hour, when most people were outside by the pool, I found Uncle Derek in the kitchen. My mom was there too, along with Stephanie. Hey Derek, can I talk to you for a second? Sure, what's up? I went to my car and brought in the guitar case. I set it on the kitchen counter. Derek looked at it and laughed. Oh man, you brought the old guitar? Does it actually play now? It does. I opened the case. The guitar looked beautiful under the kitchen lights. Wow, Stephanie said. Okay, I'll admit it cleans up nice. It's more than nice, I said. I pulled out the appraisal documents and set them on the counter. I had it appraised by 2 vintage guitar experts. Derek picked up the papers. Smiling like this was some kind of joke. He read the first line. His smile faded. What the hell is this? It's an appraisal. The guitar is a 1962 D'Angelico New Yorker acoustic. It's worth $400,000, give or take. The kitchen went silent. Derek read the entire document, then read it again. Stephanie looked over his shoulder, her mouth open. This can't be real. It's real. I have documentation from 2 experts. I've had 3 offers to buy it already, sight unseen, based on the photos. One was for $350,000. Derek set the papers down. His face had gone red. This was just sitting in Mom's bedroom. It looked like garbage. It looked worn. There's a difference. Stephanie spoke up, her voice tight. If we'd known it was worth this much, you would have what? I interrupted. Taken it? Sold it? You called it a piece of junk, Derek. You laughed at me for wanting it. I didn't know. No, you didn't care to know. You saw something old and assumed it was worthless. You didn't even ask. Grandma played that guitar her entire life. She held on to it for 60 years, and you wanted to throw it away. My mom put her hand on Derek's arm. Derek, just let it go. But he couldn't. I could see it in his face. The math was happening in his head. $400,000. He'd taken furniture worth maybe 20 grand total. I'd taken a guitar worth more than his Range Rover. Well, you're going to split it, right? He asked. I mean, it's part of the estate. We should divide it fairly. I closed the guitar case. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. Grandma left it in her bedroom. She knew I'd take it. She knew what it meant to me. She's the one who taught me to play. You and Mom can split everything else. The furniture, the jewelry, the house. But this is mine. Derek's jaw clenched. That's not fair. Fair? You told me to take it. You said it was junk. I didn't hide this from anyone. I didn't sneak it out. You all saw me take it. If you'd thought it was valuable, you would have fought me for it. But you didn't. Because you didn't care. He didn't have an answer for that. I picked up the case. I need to go. My mom walked me to the door. Outside, away from everyone, she hugged me. I'm proud of you, she said quietly. For what? For standing up to him. For knowing what mattered. She pulled back and looked at me. Your grandmother would be so happy you have that guitar. She really would. I drove home. That night, I sat in my apartment and played the D'Angelico for the first time since having it restored. It sounded like nothing I'd ever heard. Rich, warm, resonant. Every note sang. I played the songs Grandma Ruth had taught me. Simple folk songs, old blues progressions, the first chords she'd shown me when I was 7. I decided not to sell it. Not right away, anyway. Maybe someday. But for now, it stays with me. I had it insured for $500,000. I keep it in a climate-controlled case. Once a week, I take it out and play it. Not for gigs, not for recording, just for me. Sometimes I think about Uncle Derek. About the look on his face in that kitchen. About how quickly people decide something's worthless without bothering to look closer. The truth is, he saw an old guitar and made a snap judgment. He saw the worn finish, the beat-up case, and decided it wasn't worth his time. He never asked where it came from. He never asked why Grandma kept it. He never asked why it meant something to me. And that's the real difference, isn't it? Value isn't just about money. It's about meaning. It's about history. It's about the person who held that guitar for 60 years and played it in clubs and taught their grandson to love music on the same instrument. 3 months after that barbecue, I got a text from Uncle Derek. Just 2 words. I'm sorry. I didn't respond right away. I thought about it for a few days. Finally, I wrote back. I forgive you, but I'm keeping the guitar. He never replied to that. Last week, I got an offer from a collector. $600,000. He'd seen photos, heard the story, wanted to add it to his collection. I told him I'd think about it. I probably won't sell. Not yet. Maybe when I'm older, when I have kids and need college money. Maybe when I'm ready to let it go. But for now, it's mine. It's Grandma Ruth's legacy, passed down to the one person who understood what it really meant. Not the price tag, not the rarity, but the music, the connection, the memory of sitting in her living room, her weathered hands showing me where to put my fingers on the fretboard, her voice saying, "That's it, Logan, you've got it. That's worth more than $600,000. That's worth everything."